Chronostasis. Glance at a clock with a ticking second hand and watch the first second after your eyes land on it. Sometimes that first tick seems to last too long, frozen, a full beat longer than the seconds that follow. People call it the stopped clock illusion, and it is hiding something disturbing about how you see. Every time your eyes jump from one spot to another, they move so fast that the image would smear into a useless blur. So your brain does something drastic. It shuts your vision off during the jump. You go briefly blind and never notice, and then, to hide the gap, it backfills the missing time with whatever you see when your eyes land. It stretches that final image backward to paper over the blackout. When you land on a clock, your brain stretches the frozen hand backward, and that first second feels longer than it really was. The unsettling truth is that this is happening constantly, all day, every time your eyes move, which is thousands of times. You are blind for tiny slices of your life, over and over, and your brain edits them out so smoothly that you believe you are watching one continuous, unbroken world. You are not. You are watching a movie your mind has quietly stitched together, and it never once tells you where the cuts are. Jamais Vu, it is the exact opposite of déjà vu, and it is far stranger. You look at a word you have written 10,000 times, your own name, the word door, the, and suddenly it looks wrong. The letters seem random, foreign, like symbols from a language you do not speak. You sound it out and it feels fake, as if it could not possibly mean anything. For a moment, something completely familiar becomes utterly alien. You can trigger it on purpose, write a common word over and over, 20, 30 times, and watch it dissolve into nonsense in front of you. Scientists call this semantic satiation. The brain cells that recognize the word fire so many times in a row that they fatigue, and the meaning briefly drops out, leaving only the raw shape. People have felt it with faces too, staring at someone they have known for years, until that face stops looking like a person they know. It is a small crack in the floor of reality. The moment you realize that familiar is not a fact about the world, it is just a feeling your brain adds on top, and sometimes it forgets to. The frequency illusion. You learn a new word, or buy a certain car, or hear a band you had never heard of, and suddenly it is everywhere. You see that car at every intersection. You hear that word 3 times in one day. It feels like the universe is sending you a sign, like reality reorganized itself around the thing in your head. It did not. This is the frequency illusion, and it runs on 2 quiet tricks. First, the moment something becomes important to you, your brain flags it and starts noticing it, where before it was filtered out as background noise. Second, every time you spot it, you remember the hit and ignore all the times it was not there, so the pattern seems to grow. The car was always that common. The word was always being used. Nothing in the world changed at all. The only thing that changed is the spotlight inside your head, swinging to point at one thing. But it does not feel like attention. It feels like the world is suddenly conspiring to show you a message, and that is what makes it so easy to mistake a quirk of memory for fate. Phantom vibration. Your phone buzzes in your pocket. You reach for it, certain you felt it. There is nothing. No call, no message, the screen is dark, and it never moved at all. Nearly everyone who carries a phone has felt this, a vibration that simply did not happen. Your brain, trained by thousands of real buzzes, has started predicting them. It expects the phone to go off, so it takes an ordinary signal, the fabric of your clothes shifting, a muscle twitching, the faint pressure of the phone against your leg, and it misreads that noise as the one pattern it is waiting for. You are essentially hallucinating a touch, generated entirely by expectation. The more attached you are to your phone, the more often it happens, because the more your brain is primed to feel it. It is a tiny, harmless glitch, but think about what it reveals. Your sense of touch is not a clean recording of the world. It is a guess, a prediction your brain makes and then quietly confirms. And when the prediction runs ahead of reality, you feel something that was never there, your own body fooling you for a phone that never rang. Hearing your name. You are in a crowd. Music, dozens of conversations, pure noise. Then cutting through all of it, you hear your own name, clear as a bell. You turn and no one is looking at you. No one said it. Maybe someone said a word that sounded close. Maybe nothing did. Your name has a special status in your brain. Even when you are not listening, a part of you is always scanning the background for it, the most important sound in your world. This is why you can be deep in one conversation at a party and still snap to attention when someone across the room says your name, the famous cocktail party effect. But that filter runs so hot that it sometimes fires on nothing. pulling your name out of random noise the way you see faces in clouds. In the quiet, especially as you fall asleep, people hear their name spoken in a familiar voice. A parent, a friend, no one there. It feels like a message, like something reaching for you. It is only your own brain, keeping a constant watch for the one sound it can never afford to miss, and occasionally hearing it where it does not exist. The doorway effect. You stand up with a clear purpose. You are going to the kitchen to get something, you know exactly what. You walk through the door and the thought is gone. Not fuzzy, gone, wiped clean as if someone reached in and deleted the line. You stand there, staring at the room, trying to retrace your own mind. This happens to everyone, and the cause is the doorway itself. Your brain does not store the day as one long film. It chops it into scenes, and it uses physical boundaries, a doorway, a corner, the edge of a room, to mark where one scene ends and the next begins. The moment you cross that threshold, your brain files the old scene away and opens a fresh one. The plan you were holding belonged to the old scene, so it gets shelved with it. Walk back into the first room, and the memory often returns instantly because you have reopened the file. It is a glitch built into the way you organize your entire life, and it is triggered by nothing more than walking from one room to another. The thought did not vanish. Your brain just closed the wrong folder. Tip of the tongue. You know the word, you can feel it. You know how many syllables it has, what letter it starts with, almost what it sounds like, and yet you cannot say it. It sits just out of reach, maddeningly close, like a name on the very edge of your mouth. The French call this state presque vu, almost seen. What makes it so strange is that it proves your memory is split into pieces. You have already found the meaning of the word. You know exactly what you want to say, but the sound of it is stored somewhere else, and the bridge between the two has briefly collapsed. The harder you push, the more stuck it gets, because you keep pulling up wrong words that block the right one, like a key jammed in a lock. Then you stop thinking about it, you are washing dishes an hour later, and the word arrives out of nowhere, complete, as if it had been sitting in a back room the whole time, waiting for you to stop knocking. It is a glimpse of the gap inside your own mind, the space between knowing something and being able to reach it. Déjà vu. You walk into a room you have never set foot in before. A stranger says a sentence you are certain you have heard, in this exact place, in this exact moment, down to the way the light falls. For 2 or 3 seconds, the present feels like a memory. Then it slips away, and you are left with the strange certainty that you have lived this before. Almost every person on Earth has felt it, yet science still argues about why. The leading idea is that your brain has 2 memory pathways, and for a split second, one of them fires a fraction too early. The new moment gets tagged as old before you have even finished living it, so you remember the present while it is still happening. The unsettling part is how complete it feels. Not a vague hint, but a full, detailed recollection of something that never took place. It tends to hit healthy young people the most, and fade as you age. For a few seconds, your sense of time folds in half, and you cannot tell whether you are remembering or living. Then the seam closes, and the world snaps back to normal, as if your brain had quietly tripped over its own wiring.